Everyone knows the Zodiac Killer was never caught. 50 years of investigations, hundreds of suspects, FBI task forces, cold case units, best-selling books, Hollywood films, and nothing. But what if the reason we never found him isn't because he was clever? What if it's because we've been looking in completely the wrong direction and the answer was sitting in plain sight the entire time? Here's the version of events most people accept. Between 1968 and 1969, a serial killer operating in Northern California murdered at least 5 confirmed victims. He sent taunting letters to newspapers. He included encrypted ciphers. He called himself the Zodiac. And then he vanished. The case went cold. Decades passed. In 2021, a code-breaking team called the Case Breakers claimed to have identified him as a man named Gary Francis Post, who died in 2018. The FBI officially responded by saying the case remains open and unsolved. And here's where most people stop. But pull on one thread, just one, and the entire official narrative starts to unravel. The Zodiac sent 4 encrypted ciphers to newspapers. 4 puzzles he claimed contained his identity. The first cipher, 408 characters long, was solved within a week in 1969 by a high school teacher and his wife using basic frequency analysis. It didn't contain his name. It contained a boast about collecting slaves for the afterlife. The second cipher, the 340, went unsolved for 51 years until 2020, when a team of amateur codebreakers cracked it using a computer algorithm. Again, no name. More taunting. More theatrics. The third and fourth ciphers remain unsolved. Now, here's the question. Nobody asks loudly enough. Why would a killer who desperately wanted credit, who contacted newspapers, who called police stations, who signed every letter, why would he hide his name in a cipher so complex it took 51 years and a computer to crack? That's not someone trying to be found, but it's also not someone trying to stay hidden. That's someone performing. Criminologist Dr. David Schmid, who studies the cultural phenomenon of serial killers, made an observation in 2006 that almost nobody picked up on. He noted that the Zodiac's letter-writing campaign bore more structural resemblance to a publicity operation than a criminal one. The timing of letters, the choice of recipients, the deliberate escalation of drama. The costumes, yes, costumes. The only eyewitness description of the Zodiac at Lake Berryessa describes a man wearing a square black hood with a white crosshair symbol stitched onto it. That's not a disguise. Disguises are meant to make you forgettable. That's a brand. What if the Zodiac wasn't primarily a killer who wrote letters? What if he was primarily a letter writer who also killed, and the murders were the content, not the point? The Zodiac's confirmed murders stopped in October 1969. His letters continued until 1974. He kept writing, kept taunting, kept claiming victims the police could never verify for 5 years after the killings ended. One letter referenced a film. One complained about a newspaper article. One included a card game. Serial killers don't typically retire and become pen pals, but someone running a performance who discovered that the letters generated more fear, more coverage, more power than the murders themselves, that person might decide the murders were no longer necessary. The Zodiac claimed 37 victims in his letters. Police confirmed 5. 32 phantom victims claimed loudly, verified by nobody. Why does a killer exaggerate his count? To seem more dangerous. Why does a performer exaggerate his count? To keep the audience hooked. We have spent 50 years trying to find the Zodiac Killer. What if we should have spent that time asking why he wanted to be looked for? Not caught. Not identified. But chased. Obsessed over. Discussed in every true crime forum, every documentary, every YouTube video, including this one. He wrote in one of his letters, "I shall not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves. Or maybe he didn't give his name because a name ends the story, and he never wanted the story to end. The case is still open. The ciphers are still unsolved. And somewhere in the gap between 5 confirmed murders and 37 claimed ones, the real answer is probably hiding. Not in a cipher, in plain sight.